Welcome back to the channel, Coins Collector, History Lovers, and Curious Minds. Today, we've got a fascinating story that blends history, mystery, and a touch of treasure hunting. Imagine holding a single penny, just 1 cent, in your hand, something that many people might ignore if found on the street. But what if that penny, minted in 1982, could be worth up to $975,000? That's right, almost $1 million for something that, at face value, is practically worthless. This isn't just any penny. It's a coin that hides secrets, errors, and minting quirks that turn an ordinary object into a prized rarity. Buckle up because we're about to dive deep into the world of the 1982 Liberty 1-cent coin from the United States and explore why it has become one of the most intriguing and valuable coins in numismatic history. Let's begin with a little background. In 1982, something significant happened in the world of coinage in the United States. Due to rising copper prices, the U.S. Mint made a major decision. For years, pennies had been made mostly of copper, 95% copper to be exact, with 5% zinc. But by the early 1980s, it became more expensive to produce a penny than the coin was worth. In response, the U.S. Mint decided to change the composition of the penny mid-year in 1982. The new pennies would be made primarily of zinc, with a thin copper coating, resulting in a core composition of 97.5% zinc and 2.5% copper. What makes 1982 so unique is that both types of pennies, copper and zinc, were minted that year. This means that there are two versions of the 1982 penny, one made with the old copper composition and another with the new zinc composition. But it gets even more interesting. The Mint also changed the design of the date stamp on the penny in 1982, switching from a large date to a small date on the die used to imprint the coin. So, within 1 year, there were not just two different metal compositions, but also two variations in the date design. That results in a total of 7 official combinations: copper large date, copper small date, zinc large date, zinc small date, and then a few more variations depending on the mint location. Now, here's where it starts getting exciting for collectors and where the story of the $975,000 penny begins to take shape. In 2019, a collector found a 1982 D small date penny that turned out to be made of copper, something that, officially, was not supposed to exist. All 1982 D small date pennies were meant to be struck on the new zinc planchets. Yet this one coin was struck on the older copper planchet and somehow slipped through the cracks. This error has made it one of the rarest and most valuable coins known today. Only a single confirmed example has ever been found and authenticated by PCGS, Professional Coin Grading Service, and it's considered a genuine, unintentional mint error. Because of its extreme rarity, the coin has been valued as high as $975,000. But how does something like this happen in a facility like the Denver Mint, where precision and consistency are key? The likely explanation is that a leftover copper planchet from earlier in the year was mistakenly fed into the presses after the transition to zinc had begun. These types of transitional errors are among the most prized by collectors because they offer a tangible glimpse into the production process and show how even in high-security, tightly controlled environments, mistakes can occur. The rarity of such errors, and the sheer luck involved in finding one, creates the kind of market value that turns heads. Adding to the coin's intrigue are the various mint marks and the possibility of further undiscovered varieties. In 1982, pennies were struck at 3 locations: Philadelphia, which often did not include a mint mark; Denver, marked with a D; and San Francisco, used for proof coins, marked with an S. Each of these locations may have had unique conditions, die wear, and handling procedures that led to subtle variations in the coins. That means coin hunters continue to comb through their collections, rolls of pennies, and change jars in search of not just known varieties, but possible new discoveries. It's this sense of ongoing mystery that gives the 1982 penny a kind of mythic status in the hobby. Let's talk for a moment about the diagnostics that collectors use to determine if they might have a valuable 1982 penny. First, weight is crucial. A copper penny weighs about 3.11 grams, while a zinc penny weighs only 2.5 grams. This small difference can be the first clue in identifying whether you have a potentially rare copper version. Using a sensitive digital scale is the easiest way to sort through a batch of 1982 pennies. But even then, weight alone isn't enough. The next step is to examine the date. Remember, the small date and large date varieties have distinct differences, especially in the shapes of the numbers, particularly the 2 and the 8. On a small date, the 2 has a more delicate curve, and the 8 appears more even in size from top to bottom. In contrast, the large date, 2, is bolder and more pronounced, and the 8 appears slightly top-heavy. So, if someone finds a 1982 penny with a small date and a weight of around 3.11 grams, and if it has a D mint mark, they might be holding a treasure. It's the combination of all three features that make it so valuable. However, authentication is key. Without proper grading and verification from a reputable service like PCGS or NGC, Numismatic Guarantee Corporation, a coin's true identity, and therefore its value, remains uncertain. Unfortunately, there are many counterfeit coins out there, and attempts have been made to alter common pennies to resemble rare ones. Collectors must be cautious and consult experts before making any conclusions. Another fascinating element of the 1982 penny is the idea that there could be more of these rare transitional errors out there, waiting to be discovered. Unlike other high-value coins that were minted in extremely low numbers and tracked closely, the 1982 D small date copper penny wasn't supposed to exist. That means it wasn't catalogued or recorded, and its discovery was purely accidental. This opens up the thrilling possibility that additional examples might still be in circulation, buried in old change jars, inherited coin collections, or even in the cash register of an antique shop. That sense of possibility fuels the hunt and keeps collectors coming back to 1982 pennies over and over again. It's not just the transitional errors that collectors love. The 1982 penny series is also known for a variety of die cracks, doubling errors, off-center strikes, and even coins that were struck on foreign planchets. While none of these varieties reached the staggering value of the $975,000 copper small date D mint penny, they still command impressive prices, especially in high grades. For example, some 1982 pennies with strong doubling on the date or Liberty inscription can fetch hundreds or even thousands of dollars, depending on condition and certification. These varieties add more depth to the hunt and increase the educational value of studying these coins. If you're wondering how such a coin could sell for such a huge amount, part of the answer lies in the rarity, but another part lies in the emotional and psychological side of collecting. Coin collectors, especially those at the high end of the market, are driven not just by rarity but by the story behind a coin. Owning a one-of-a-kind mint error connects the buyer to history in a deeply personal way. It's a piece of the past that defied the odds, survived unnoticed for decades, and carries with it an air of mystery. It becomes not just a coin but a conversation piece, an heirloom, and a badge of honor within the numismatic community. As with any collectibles market, values can fluctuate. The 1982 D small date copper penny may fetch $975,000 today, but its value will depend on future demand, condition, market trends, and whether additional specimens are found. If more are discovered, the value could decrease slightly due to lower rarity. If no more ever turn up, the price could climb even higher. This dynamic makes coin collecting an ever-evolving hobby, part investment, part passion, and part puzzle. Today, you're about to dive deep into a world where a single penny, yes, just 1 cent, could be worth a staggering $865,000. Sounds unbelievable, right? But it's absolutely real. We're talking about the 1999 Liberty 1-cent coin, a penny that has made headlines, sparked collector frenzies, and stunned experts due to a series of rare and fascinating minting errors. So if you've ever glanced at the change in your pocket and thought nothing of it, this story might just change your perspective forever. Before we explore why this seemingly ordinary penny has such an extraordinary value, let's set the stage. The United States Mint produces billions of coins every year, and the penny, or 1-cent coin, is one of the most commonly circulated pieces in American currency. The design we're most familiar with today, featuring President Abraham Lincoln on the obverse or front side, has been in circulation since 1909. But every so often, something goes wrong during the minting process. And when it does, it can create coins that are extremely rare and, as a result, extremely valuable. The 1999 Liberty 1-cent coin is one such fascinating example. Now, you might be thinking, hold on, doesn't every penny from 1999 look the same? And aren't they all supposed to feature Lincoln on the front? Yes, that's true for the standard 1999 Lincoln cent. However, there's an exceptionally rare version of the 1999 penny that bears the word Liberty, as all pennies do, but also contains a series of minting errors that have made it worth nearly $1 million to collectors. The key to its value lies in a combination of factors: striking errors, possible planchet mistakes, unusual die alignment, double dies, and even possible confusion with experimental or transitional coins. It's the ultimate treasure hidden in plain sight. Let's begin with one of the most discussed possibilities: the wrong planchet error. A planchet is the blank metal disc that's used to make a coin. If the wrong metal or size is used for a particular coin, the resulting strike can produce a coin that looks off or feels unusual. Some collectors and experts believe that certain 1999 Liberty 1-cent coins were mistakenly struck on planchets intended for foreign coins or perhaps leftover from other denominations or experimental runs. This kind of minting error is extremely rare, especially in the modern era when quality control is typically quite rigorous. When such an error escapes the mint and enters circulation, it becomes a unicorn for collectors, but that's just the beginning. Other known 1999 penny errors include dramatic off-center strikes, where the coin's design is not properly aligned with the blank, causing part of the image to be missing or skewed. There are also double die errors, where the coin appears to have a shadow or doubling effect, particularly noticeable in the date, lettering, or even Lincoln's profile. These errors occur when the die, basically the mold used to strike the coin, is misaligned or used improperly. Even small amounts of doubling can increase a coin's value, but significant doubling can send its value into the stratosphere. Another factor that may have contributed to the massive value of this particular coin is the possibility of a rare transitional error. In coin collecting, a transitional error occurs when a coin is struck using specifications from a previous year or future design. For instance, during years when the U.S. Mint transitioned from one metal composition to another, like the famous 1943 copper penny or the 1982 small date and large date zinc and copper transition years, some coins were mistakenly struck using outdated or experimental blanks. If the 1999 Liberty 1-cent coin was somehow part of a transitional run, using a metal composition or planchet that was not intended for that year, it would instantly elevate its rarity and desirability. There's also some speculation and unconfirmed but tantalizing theories about a possible prototype error. Prototypes are coins struck to test new dies, designs, or planchet materials before full production begins. They are never intended to leave the mint and are typically destroyed once testing is complete. However, in rare circumstances, one might slip through the cracks. If the $865,000 1999 Liberty 1-cent coin is indeed a prototype that mistakenly entered circulation, that could explain its astronomical value. A prototype is the equivalent of a draft version of a coin, making it a one-of-a-kind piece that any collector would dream of owning. Another angle to consider is the mint mark, or lack thereof. Mint marks are small letters on coins that indicate which minting facility produced the coin: P for Philadelphia, D for Denver, S for San Francisco, and so on. Anomalies in the mint mark, like missing, misplaced, or doubled mint marks, are prized by collectors. Some 1999 pennies have been found with weak or missing mint marks, and although these alone might not make a coin worth hundreds of thousands of dollars, when combined with other errors, they can significantly enhance the overall rarity and value. In numismatics, it's often the combination of unusual features that determines a coin's ultimate worth. The color and toning of the coin might also play a role. Coins that have not been circulated often maintain their original color and luster. Red Lincoln cents, meaning those that appear bright and coppery, are worth more than brown or worn-out ones. If this 1999 Liberty 1-cent piece has exceptional eye appeal on top of its rare error features, it would make the coin even more desirable in the eyes of top collectors. Add in a high-grade condition verified by a respected third-party grading service like PCGS or NGC, and you've got the recipe for a six-figure valuation. But how did such a coin reach a market value of $865,000? It's not just because of its physical characteristics. Scarcity and demand also drive prices. If a coin is confirmed to be a one-of-a-kind or one of just a handful known to exist, collectors will go to great lengths to obtain it. Public auctions, private sales, and intense bidding wars can push the price higher and higher. The provenance, or history of ownership, can also play a role. If the coin has been featured in prominent collections or auctions, its value is boosted by the attention it receives. This particular 1999 Liberty 1-cent coin likely gained traction after being authenticated and graded by professionals who confirmed its errors were not post-mint damage, but genuine anomalies caused during production. Once word spreads in the numismatic community that such a coin exists, it creates a domino effect of interest and speculation. News articles, YouTube videos, and social media posts contribute to the legend, driving up both awareness and price. Let's not forget the human element. Part of what makes stories like these so compelling is the sheer luck involved. Imagine finding a penny in your pocket change, or tucked away in an old jar of coins, and learning it could change your life forever. It's the ultimate rags to riches narrative, and it captures the imagination of people all over the world. Stories have emerged of people unknowingly holding onto coins for decades, only to later discover that what they thought was a worthless cent is actually a prized rarity. It fuels a modern-day treasure hunt, where people begin checking their old coins and heading to estate sales, flea markets, and coin shops in search of hidden fortune. So what should you look for if you want to determine whether your 1999 penny is worth more than a single cent? First, inspect it closely for any unusual features, off-center designs, doubling in the date or lettering, unusual coloration, or missing mint marks. Use a magnifying glass or jeweler's loupe to get a better look. If something looks strange or out of the ordinary, that could be your first clue. Next, compare it with standard 1999 Lincoln cents to see if yours has any distinct differences. If it still seems promising, consider sending it to a reputable coin grading service. They can authenticate and grade the coin, providing you with a certificate that validates its condition and rarity. There's also the chance that a coin could be an unlisted or previously undocumented variety. In numismatics, new discoveries are still being made, especially in modern coinage. If you think you found a new error or anomaly that hasn't been recorded before, you could be making a significant contribution to the coin collecting community. Experts and collectors are always on the lookout for fresh finds that expand the catalog of known varieties. It's also worth noting that coin values can fluctuate over time. Just like any collectible, market demand plays a crucial role. What might sell for $10,000 today could be worth double or triple in a few years if interest spikes. Conversely, the market could cool down, so timing your sale or purchase can be just as important as the coin's condition and rarity.